Hi, this is Eric Martin with BoardGameGeek. I am here with Mario from Postscriptum. Thank you very much for
Hi,
joining us,
Eric.
Mario. How are you doing?
Hi. Very well.
Good.
It's bad to be at home instead of being in Essen.
That's right. Well, it's better home than other options, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could be at the bottom of the ocean. There's all sorts of worse choices to be at. So we'll
Oh,
look on the
yeah,
bright side
sure.
here. But Mario is here to show off Florenza, specifically the 10th anniversary edition of the game, co-published by Placentia Games and Postscriptum. So,
Yes.
Mario, I hope you can give an overview of what the game is about, who we represent, and what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So we are patrons in Florence from Renaissance. So we are rich families in Florence, and we want to embellish the city with work of arts, with paintings, architecture, and sculpting. And we can embellish both the cathedral, the main buildings of the city, and our own family district. And
Okay.
what we can do is to hire the most famous artists and also other kind of characters from that period. Most of them really worked in Florence, not exactly everyone, but we added some famous one. But we brought everything in the booklet, so you can read in the booklet about the theme. And the game is absolutely a worker placement game. It's a very not complicated but complex to manage worker placement game, because it requires a very good and precise planning, because you have to in each round there's a phase in which you place all your workers that are actually your family members, and there is another phase in which you collect all the resources following your plans, your how you place your workers on the map on the board. And then there is
Mhm.
another phase in which you use these resources to complete the work of arts that you planned. So if if you make a mistake, you could. It's hard to manage to deal with mistakes. Let's say you have to play well to this game.
Okay.
That's the
So
idea.
maybe we can look at one of the player boards just to see what
Yes.
we're starting with, because when the game begins, we're going to each draft some workshops, or rather purchase workshops, to give us some
Yes.
starting
Yeah.
items.
Yes. Each player chooses can starts with 100 fiorini and one resource per each kind, and can use them to build two workshops in the first two spaces of their district board. And these are used from the player themselves or also from the opponents, because you can place on your own district board or also on other players' ones. If you place your worker on another player board, you have to pay a victory point. So you lose one victory point, and the other player gets one victory point. And in addition to this, there are also eight work of arts that you can perform in your family district. So four are the your palace, and four from your church. So you can embellish them also and score many points also from them. So let's
Okay.
say that the work of arts in your district are the only one that you are sure that you can you can start to collect resources and then build them later, because you are sure that nobody can come to your district board and steal, let's say, these spaces from you. But they could steal, let's say, the artists, because if you need an artist, you really want to hire, let's say, I see Donatello or Leonardo da Vinci or Caravaggio or Michelangelo Buonarroti, and when you want to, if you want really to hire one of them, some other player could hire before you, so it's not so easy.
Okay. So maybe we can look at the player board again.
District board, there is also the income zone, the income area, in which you see which are your income for each round. Because all the players have a base income that is three kinsmen, one marble, one wood, another resource that is always changes, but it's the same for every player, and the 200 coins. And this is the base income. Then there are personal income that arrive following what you built during the previous rounds.
Okay.
So let's say that.
So looking at
more or less this
looking at the player board here, I just wanted to highlight some of the works that you could do, and then those are the cost requirements to build them, and then the reward on the bottom, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There are, for example, all the words are in ancient Italian, and so, for example, the abside of the chiesa costs you one. I don't see perfectly.
Yep, that's because it's matching the color. The color on the card is matching the color of our blue screen, so then it turns invisible. It's like a magic trick.
Yeah.
On there.
Anyway, you can. You also have a summary table where you can see all the costs of both the buildings and the artworks on the main board. You don't need for the artwork exactly. You don't need it for the artworks on your personal board because you have it just easy to see.
Okay. So there are special artists that you can hire, and then there's also just regular sort of generic non-famous artists. So what are the differences between those?
Victory points, how well they work, and how much do they cost. So this is one of the differences between this version and the previous one, because in the old version, the anonymous artists were limited, and you had only 2 in each round available. Now they are not limited. So you can have, there is always an anonymous artist available, so you don't have to worry about this thing. But definitely, the named artist cost more coins, but they give you really many. They can give you many victory points, more for sure, more than the anonymous artists. Basically, the more you pay, the more victory points they give you. Actually, you don't know exactly how many victory points they will give you, because you have to roll the die and to see the table on the card, because you hire an artist and you see, yes, this is for the anonymous artist, for example, and this is for Leonardo da Vinci. And so when you roll the die, you see how many points you score according to the result of the die. And in case of Leonardo da Vinci and other kind of artists that can perform more than one ability, then one is both a sculptor and a painter. And so you have to see according also, if you hire him as a sculptor, you follow the table for sculpting, or for otherwise the one for the painter. But don't worry, because if you don't like rolling the die, there is also included in the rule book, there are rules to avoid the die and to determine the final result without. So you exactly know how many points you will score by hiring an artist. Each time an artist performs his masterpiece, the card is flipped to the backside. And now that's a preacher. I think this is the same. No, this is the same because it's not an artist, it's a preacher. In this case, instead, you see as a different background because he already performed his masterpiece and he will never make another masterpiece in this game. So you had really the masterpiece of Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay. And, he's peaked and then downhill from there.
Yeah. Exactly.
In a sense. So you started talking about the nature of a round where players are going to begin with income and getting resources. What does the rest of a round look like?
Yeah. So the first phase is the income phase. So you start with always some resources. Then there are two phases in which the captain of the people and the bishop apply their powers, but we can skip now in this explanation. Let's say that being the captain of the people or the bishop is good, okay? And then there is the most important, okay, the captain of the people can detain an artist or also a preacher. So if I am captain of the people, I take, let's say, Leonardo da Vinci, and I'm the only one in this round who can hire him. I have to pay him, but you cannot choose. So I'm the only one who can free Leonardo da Vinci and use him. Instead, the bishop gives me one more kinsman, one more worker, and all the other players have one less, but not from the available workers, because you have 8 workers in your color, and the exact number that you can use is determined in the income phase. So normally you start with 3, and this is another difference with the old version in which you had 4, because now the actions are more powerful. So we thought that using only 3 were better. And so with the bishop, it gives you one more. And then there is the 4th phase that is the most important, because is when you actually use your kinsman. So what you can do is place a kinsman on one already existing building, workshop. So in your district board or in the other players one, exactly.
Okay.
Or you can build a new one. So you can take one of them, flip it, and place in the first space. So in space number 3, of course, with a worker on it. Normally, you don't have actually all those workers. You will have less probably than the number of workers that you have there. Yes. Right. Then in the next phase of the round, if you will have all the resources and the coins requested by that workshop, you will build it. You will score maybe points. Not all the workshops give you points, but once you have it for the rest of the game. And then you can, of course, perform reserve a work of art. You can do it both on your board or on the main board. On your board, they are smaller, they are cheaper, and they give you less points. On the cathedral, they are the most expensive, and they give you the most points. And on the other 5 civic buildings, they are some way in the middle. So they are quite expensive and give you a good amount of points. Also, all the artworks in the main board have, you see a purple flag on them. And this is a personal income that you will receive at the first phase on the next round. Everything that is with a purple background is an income. So it can be a kinsman, church point, or a victory point.
Okay.
Then you can place on one of the captain of the people, which are the two cards that are on the right of the captain of fortune. Sorry. So you see there are two cards on the right of the board. I can see exactly. Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. These are the captain of the people. They are drawn randomly at the beginning of the game, one per each player, and they remain the same for the game. You can place your kinsman there, and then in the next phase, if you will have money, you can hire them, and they will loot what is written there. So you simply decide how much you want to pay them to receive the corresponding bonus. But
okay.
If you don't have money to pay, you will always lose something, one church point or one victory point. Okay. Then you can also hire a preacher. The preacher is the only thing that is you must pay immediately. And you have preachers under the number 2 between the artists, under the card number 2. There are 2 preachers. Mm-hmm. Yes. So as usual, there is one unnamed preacher that also is the portrait of Stefano Groppi, the author of the game. You can pay him 100 fiorini to immediately have one more worker. So that's the only part in this phase in which you pay and receive the effect immediately, because it's about worker placement. So since it gives you one more worker to use, you have to pay him immediately. Named preachers also have special effects. For example, I see, yeah, exactly. For example, this one, you have, you see that you always have 2 kinsmen, because you spend one to hire, and so you receive 2. So you have one more. Mm-hmm. And the top one gives you the possibility of swapping reserves with another of your choice. Instead, the bottom one costs you 1 victory point, because Girolamo Savonarola was an heretic, and gives you 1 marble. That is the most important resource. So it costs you 1 victory point, but it gives you the most important resource. And then the other things that you can do is going on the book, on the notebook that there is on the bottom of the main board. The left page is the market. Here you can, in order make one time all the actions if you want. That is selling a resource for 100 coins, buying a resource for 200 coins, or trade 2 resources for another resource of your choice. You can do it in any moment, so it's very important to collect the resources you really need. The right page instead gives you simply 50 coins, and they are not many, but they can be useful. So you have all this choice to use your workers. Of course, the most important one is to make a work of art. You have to choose the artist. If you don't take any artist style, it means that you are using an anonymous artist. Otherwise, you take the tile from the card. Let's suppose that you take Leonardo da Vinci, okay, and you want to make an artwork in the okay. Let's suppose you want to make an artwork in Santa Maria Novella, for example, and you place your tile, the tile of Leonardo, and one of your workers on the space on the board. And so, in the next phase, you will perform exactly. you will perform the work of art. So phase 5 is where you activate all your family members except the one who have to perform a work of art. And so they are economic activities. So, for example, if you place on the workshop, they produce resources. If you place to build workshops, they build the workshop. If you place on the market or on the right page of the notebook, they give you what you want, and also the same for the Captain of Fortune. But you have to pay attention because all the workshops are checked in turn order. So the first player will check the workshop he has on the first space number 1. Then the second player will check space number 1. Then the first player again on number 2, and so on. And then number 2 of the second player, number 3, etc. So you have to be sure that you will receive all the resources when you need them. So, for example, if I need, I want to build something in space number 3, I have to be sure that all the resources are right before, because maybe if I place on space number 4 or another player, I won't receive the resource I need for my space number 3. So that's why I say that it's you have to be very good in this phase.
Right.
So this phase 6 is the one in which you score victory points. So you check all the work of art that you planned. You simply see if you have all the required resources, all the required coins, adding up the ones for the artwork itself, and the ones for the artist. The anonymous artists are always free, but they give you very few points. Then you roll the die, or if you prefer the other version, you calculate the score, and you spend all the resources and the money, and you take the victory points. If you don't have enough all the required elements, you will lose points. The most important, so in the cathedral you lose 3 points, in the rest of Florence you lose 2 points, in your district board you lose 1 point.
Okay. So then, you're running through multiple rounds, and obviously building up more income and workshops and kinsmen and trying to build everything over the course of the game, and then scoring mostly for the art at the end.
Yeah. Also because when you complete a work of art, you place one of your family crests on it, so it's not available anymore for other players, and you can check that it's yours and get the income. But on the main board, you can also place the 3 special one that gives you extra income. So I think they are purple, but it's not a problem.
But limited.
There are 3 of these that have a purple, something purple in the center. Anyways,
so
you should find in the bottom of the pile, probably.
Well, I was going to say we have a couple of minutes left. We got an idea of the flow of the game. It seems like, yes, you have to manage a lot of things and be very diligent about what you were getting and all the right order in order to make sure everything flows. I was wondering if you could address new additions to the game, because this is the anniversary edition. I know you've added a solo mode. Maybe you can talk about that for a minute.
Yes, so please take the personal board, the district board, and flip on the other side. Okay, you see that there is a table made of 8 squares in the left part. And so you simply roll the die you play against a ghost player, which has as many family members as the number of rounds. So in the first round, it performs one action. In the second round, it performs two, and so on. And then you roll the die, and you place you choose the corresponding space, and the ghost performs that action. You only consider the empty spaces. So the table will fill, and you will be sure, and the ghost will perform all of them. When the table is full, it empties, and you start again. And we saw that it's not easy to beat him. And yes, then it makes exactly the same actions as a normal player. And we tested it a lot, and we see that it works very well.
Okay, that's a clever system too, that you can't reach all these spaces initially, but yes, as they fill up over time, you know that everything is going to get taken, reaching the spaces at the end, which normally you can't reach with a six-sided die.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If you are crazy enough, you can use multiple ghost players. You can play against 4 ghost players.
Okay.
If you really want. Yeah.
Okay. We got 30 seconds. Anything else to say about the game in terms of availability?
The game is having a small delay in transport, so it will be available in November. I think at the end of November, more or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Delays are not uncommon this year. I know.
Yeah.
Lots of unexpected things. So
I know.
Mario, thank you very much for joining us for a look at Florenza 10th Anniversary Edition from Postscriptum and Plinchat. Thank you very much.